The following production is part of the Play Some Video Games Podcast Network.
I say it's time we focus on what really matters. The games. Who's with me?
Welcome to episode 24 of the PlayStation Experience Podcast, the Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight to PSVG's Persona 5 Prime, I guess. I don't know. And we are Play Some Video Games premier PlayStation podcast. And are we still the number one PlayStation podcast on the internet?
No, we are. I think we officially got knocked out of that spot.
Okay.
That was a brief stint.
We were briefly the number one PlayStation podcast via our association with PSVG. And welcome to the Game of the Year show for 2018. We will be probably not the first podcast, but we can pretend we'll be the first podcast to wish you Happy New Year in the new year of 2019 as this drops in early 2019. I'm your host, Seth, and this week I'm joined, as always, by Justin. How's it going in the land of Michigan? You're muted. This is not a good start. You're muted.
Oh,
there you go.
I gotta hit that button up top. This is rough. Yes, I'm great. This is great. Let's just move on to the next one.
Okay. I am also joined for the first time. We have two first-time PSXP guests. Number one, from the land of baskets, Dev.
The land of baskets?
Who will get... Did you see Baskets Season 3 just dropped? On Hulu? Yeah.
About Bakersfield.
Yeah.
I don't really associate myself with being from Bakersfield. I am from Los Angeles.
Okay.
I just happen to live and reside in Bakersfield, so that didn't even dawn on me. But yeah, that's a good show, though. It's quite funny.
Good show.
It's not my experience of Bakersfield at all, but other than that,
you don't parade around town as a clown,
rodeo clown.
No, I've never even seen any of the places that they have shown in that show. So I'm like, I don't know if it's really actually filmed at all in Bakersfield. Yeah, I've never seen a rodeo here either.
Okay. It's funny. I said you're from the land of baskets, where here in Newark we have a giant basket on the edge of town, a giant office building shaped like a basket that is now going decrepit. And anyway, on to the next guest. We have the boss of PSVG, Donnie, making his first appearance on the PlayStation Experience Podcast.
Yo, greetings, Kooplings. Who let me in here?
I'm going to mute you right now if you say Kooplings one more time.
That's true. And just remember this, Donnie. The only reason there's a Switch is because there was a Vita.
I'm fine with that. I'll give you that. Sure.
All right. So there are the players. And we're going to recap 2018 in the land of PlayStation a little bit and get to our favorite games on the system for 2018. And just wanted to start off with kind of general thoughts on the year in PlayStation. And wanted to throw it to Donnie, who I think has had some interesting thoughts on PlayStation this year as he's played his PS4 and has switched over to Xbox One a little bit more. And at the same time, bought a PS3. I don't know if he bought any new Vitas this year, but bought a PSVR. So you've had some ups and downs with PlayStation. So where are you with PlayStation in 2018?
Yeah, 2018. 2018 in general, great year for games. Been got a lot of great games that came out, particularly with PlayStation. Great games, first party delivered. I mean, they've got amazing, moving the industry tentpole type games that we'll talk about. They had that beautiful console that I almost bought like on sheer hype alone, like the translucent collector's edition.
The blue one?
The blue one?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. What is it? 500 million PlayStation?
Yeah, 500 million edition. It's awesome.
It looks so good. If I was like really, really into my PlayStation every day, I think I would have bought one. I almost did. Like, I mean, I had one in cart. That's like I almost bought one just because I thought it was great. And then PlayStation VR, and which I just got and have been dabbling into and having a lot of fun. And I think a lot of people would agree that PSVR seemed to have caught a little bit of momentum this year. Definitely started to move some units, seeing more people talking about it. So in that regard, it's been good. Also, I kind of feel like slightly more disassociated with PlayStation, like the company or the brand. This is also the year that PlayStation had like their big crossplay mess, and the way that they spoke around that, especially early on, and honestly continued to do so. Their E3 show, which I streamed live with Justin, while I loved the T-Lu demo, because I mean I love everything The Last of Us, I really thought that show was weird. I wouldn't say it's bad. The games they showed were good, but it was like a weird show. It was like it's just a weird thing that happened. It was like a spectacle of the news of them pulling out of E3. And I know you guys talked about that. I know the Prime show talked about that. I really didn't get a chance to talk about it. All I would just say is quickly is, I mean, I was upset to hear that. I love E3 because of the spectacle that it is, because of the hoopla that it creates. I also love the idea that the entire industry comes together to like pull their powers together to bring all the spotlight on them. And I feel like that'll be lost without PlayStation for sure. And then like the PSN name issues, you know, like, and it's like, we're changing names. Like, all right, this is something we've all wanted. And then it's like, yeah, but your old stuff might not work. Your new stuff might work. And even if you go back, it might still be broken. Like it's just been kind of one of those years where like it's, you know, I very much have been enjoying the games, but it seems like the more and more that like they kind of, I guess, show kind of what they're doing and the moves they're making or the moves they're not making, I'm just kind of like, I'm not really feeling this like I was at the start of the generation. Mm-hmm. Like Seth and I think we both came over from Xbox. They won me at the start. And it feels like since the start, like it's just been kind of less and less as time has gone on.
Right. Now you said from Xbox, I had an Xbox 360 first, but I switched over to PS3 when that console bricked on me like 5 times. I don't know.
Sure.
And then stuck with PS4 because it was in a good spot, and I still think it's in a great spot. Great games.
Oh yeah, I mean it's the market leader. It's got all, and I'm not even here to talk about like what's successful or not. I'm speaking specifically. I feel like I should often say this. Devin has taught me to often say this. For me, these things, you know, like them pulling out of PSX, like all of these moves that they're making, and you know, there is even some intrigue to see what is going to bear fruit of this, but in the right here now, without knowing that. I can't say that like I'm enjoying less PlayStation and less news and less convention and less games and showing us more of the same games we've seen before and no crossplay and like I'm not enjoying any of that. Like none of the things that they've really been telling me are things that I'm like really excited about. Right. The things I'm really excited about are things they've been telling me for 3 years. So that's really kind of it.
I gotta pull your cut on the no crossplay thing. You don't really play games online with people. Why does crossplay even?
And we talked about this. Yeah, it's not necessarily. I mean, I've been playing Fortnite. I play a lot of Fortnite, like of late. So I mean, to say I don't play games, I do. But you're right. It's not my forte. But I just kind of thought it was when you have, again, it's like that E3 thing. You have the industry moving in a way, and they're moving in a way, and like we can talk about the strategic movements of it, but the entire industry is doing something. Right, we're seeing it with Steam, we're seeing it with Epic, we saw it with Nintendo, we saw it with Xbox. You have all of these folks doing it, and you have PlayStation not doing it. And they're not telling you that they won't do it because it makes them less money, which is what they should say. Like, because I think we all kind of agree that's why they aren't embracing it, because they're the leader. They want everybody to buy PlayStation. Yeah. What they're doing, you know, them kind of pulling a Wii era Nintendo, you know, like we need to protect the kids from online, and you know, like that is just it doesn't seem like what PlayStation was all about at the start of the gen, when they were very like transparent and for gamers and all of that hoopla that I don't want to rehash. But I think we all like, you know, then in that moment when this era kicked off, it seemed like they really leaned into that. You know, they had this army of Vita lovers and services and Plus and all that. And it seems like the further we've gone along, I would almost say, and I don't want to be mean, I don't want to come on the show and become your guys' heel, but I mean, I do guess that's kind of maybe the part that I'm supposed to play. It almost just feels like very corporate. You know, they've just kind of they've gone like very suitish.
Which is like 100% agree with that.
We had Shu and we had Geo, and it's like in hockey jerseys, and they were like the cool gamers that you wanted to like, and that was the company's face, that was their mascot, their spokesperson, that was their voice, and all of that.
Definitely need more Shu. We need more Shu. It feels like we're going back to the PS3 era where they don't really say much, and then what they do say, you're just like, what? It just, the pulling out of E3, the lack of any real discussion around crossplay or why it's something they don't want to go with, and even with the name change and stuff, like it's just, it, like you said, it feels very, very suitish. It feels like the arrogant PS3 era, and I'm just hoping that they're just kind of sitting back because, like you said, they don't have a whole lot to show right now. If they show anything, it's going to be the same things we've seen over and over and over again. And I think that they've gotten so much backlash from having basically the same game show up 17 E3s in a row that they're like, okay, you know what? We don't have anything new to show, so let's try a different approach by just pulling out and not showing you that same stuff over and over again that you've already seen, that you know is coming. And when we do have information for you, then we'll present it. I can only hope that that's like the direction that they're going in.
Yeah, it's definitely, I looking at this generation, comparing it to Xbox 360 and PS3, I get, of course, for me, early on, I was with Wii and 360, and then through the generation, I really felt like PS3 started offering more through PlayStation Plus and through the free games and through some other services. And of course, their games started hitting late in the generation. Where this time, I almost feel like it's flip-flopped, where PS4, Sony was so far ahead and really still is, that now really services-wise, Microsoft has them beat hands down. And this year really has started to come to a head, just, I guess, luckily or thankfully or whatever. I mean, this year is also the same year that launched God of War and Spider-Man, which might be the two best games on the console of the generation. So there are a lot of different factors along that. Do you have anything else to add, Justin, on 2018 generally to the conversation?
I mean, I think you guys hit all the right points as far as kind of the negatives, as far as their marketing and their outward appearance. Especially when you bring up kind of the arrogant PS3 era, which was the beginning of the PS3. I mean, they corrected that over the PS3 life cycle. So, and that's why everyone kind of jumped on the PS4, was because of what PS Plus kind of changed into and everything. So that's great. And that's why I changed. I was only a 360 person, and I switched over to PS4 because they were out saying it was all about the games. And honestly, I was super jealous of The Last of Us. And I was like, you know what? Those are the kind of games I wanted to play. So, and we're continuing to get those games. So, I mean, to end on a brighter note, I mean, we had, on a lot of sites, 3 or 4 of the top 10 games were PlayStation exclusives, with Spider-Man, God of War, Astrobot, and it goes to show that it all kind of paid off. They had a plan to invest in certain companies and start work with Insomniac on Spider-Man, and it all paid off this year. We got like incredible first party and exclusive games. They weren't even all first party. They were just exclusives. So it was a really great great year for games. And I think PlayStation, especially, we got even better of a year. If you're a PlayStation only gamer, you can feel pretty good about that this year. Whereas looking forward, you might need to get more than one console, but this year alone, I think PlayStation knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, sure. And speaking of that, we're going to invoke some Kevin Butler here and talk about what really matters, the games, and move on to our favorite games from 2018. We're not going to choose like a rubber stamp PSXP game of the year, unless I guess all of us have it, and not even putting this out there as these are our top 3 games in order, but just our 3 favorite games on PlayStation this past year. I'm going to start with my first one, and that is Celeste, which launched early in the year. I don't know, February maybe. Launched on, I think was it on Xbox? I know it was on PS4 and Switch and Xbox. It's just the side-scrolling platformer, not even side-scrolling. It's really vertical. Also, but a platformer with a lot of difficulty and a charming story that's a lot deeper than you usually get in these side-scrolling, platformer, old school platformer kind of games. And I picked it up again tonight just to go through. I went through the beginning first level, and it's just as fun as I remember. The controls are responsive. It's technically a really good game, and I just love the atmosphere, the graphics, the music, the story on it. I know Donnie played Celeste for a little bit. Did anyone else give it a go?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to play it. Celeste really isn't a game for me. I just knew I don't play a lot of 2D platformers. Probably because I didn't play those really hard 2D platformers when I was a kid. And I think there's a lot of nostalgia wrapped up in Celeste, and also The Messenger was another big 2D platform this year, and I don't have any of that nostalgia, and I never got the. It's not even. I know it's not all nostalgia for you. It's. I know it's a great game that stands on its own, but for me, I just never got into that play style. So unfortunately, I missed that one. But I'm glad to hear that's on top of your list.
Yeah, and it's
funny. Sorry, no, yeah, I didn't play it either. But it's funny that you didn't say you said you didn't play because you didn't have the nostalgia for that. You didn't play a lot of those as a kid. I played a ton of platforming games just coming from like the NES, Genesis, SNES era that I played so many platformers. Like when I see those games, I really have no desire to play them, which is why I didn't play Celeste, because I'm like, I played so many of those. I'm looking for different experiences. So it's just, that's interesting how it's a like flip flop for us.
And when I did play it, I would classify Celeste more in that Super Meat Boy mold, not like the Mario mold. And that's why it didn't click with me. I never really liked that. And, while I do agree, it's nice and crisp and it's got like, a story. I probably played maybe a third of it. I don't think I got quite halfway, but I played a little bit of it. And it just wasn't really clicking with me. I was like, I'm not really having as much fun. Nothing really hooked me. So I just kind of moved on.
Yeah. It was, it was the first game of the year that really did hook me and that I just played pretty consistently for, I don't know, it took me maybe 2 weeks. And it was difficult. It's not, I've played Super Meat Boy, but not extensively, but it's not a game that frustrated me because with Celeste, every time you'd fail, it would take you back to that same screen and you don't have to go all the way back to the beginning. Like, Dead Cells, which is a game I really enjoyed this year, but it's a roguelike and you get to a certain point and then you die and then you go back to the beginning. And you carry forward experience and stuff, but still you're playing through the same area over and over. And it just with Celeste, I didn't get that frustration, which helped, and I just again really enjoyed it. So on to Justin. What is your first pick?
So my number one pick is Spider-Man. It was just out of all the games I played, I wouldn't even say it's the best game I've played, but it was the one I had the most fun with. It could be because it's Spider-Man and he's been my favorite Marvel character since I'm not a comic book guy. I didn't really read comic books as a kid, but like watching growing up with the Tobey Maguire movies and stuff like that, like Spider-Man's my Marvel character of choice. And they just nailed it in every aspect. I mean, and I think a big part of that was the music and the movement. They just kind of nailed all of that. And I felt something with that game. And I didn't put it down until I was 100% complete with it. And I know getting a platinum or something like that doesn't define a game, but for me, like I don't ever do that. So for me, it was a big deal. There was a reason why I did that. And I know it's one of the more popular games of the year, so I'm kind of curious what we all think of it.
Spider-Man is also on my list too, but we'll go. Is it on Donnie or
Spider-Man is my game of the year.
Yeah,
it's my favorite game of the year of all consoles, all combined. Spider-Man's number one. I'm not the superhero fan that you guys are. I didn't grow up as Marvel folks. I don't have an affinity for Spider-Man, and I love the game. And like Justin, I didn't put it down until I beat it. The moment I started playing it, I think the first night I played it, after 30 minutes, I was like, oh, this is really good. And I played until like 1 a.m. And I did the same thing the night after, and I think I beat it that week. Like, it was just, I went right through it. It is, in so many ways, the game that, like, it hits all the notes of, like, the games that I would get into. It's so, in so many ways, it's the infamous game that I've always wanted. Because I love that. I love the exploration. I like collecting things. I like the open world. I like action games, especially when they give you like a lot of options for combat. That's why I've always liked Devil May Cry. It's why I've always liked Bayonetta. And it's just kind of like all of that in one thing. It's like an open world. It's fun to fly around. It's fun to do missions. It's fun to collect things. You got a lot of great combat. You can, upgrade skills. You can make Spider-Man your own. And I guess it's the most rewarding thing that I would give it is it made me care about a Spider-Man story. And I don't have the nostalgia glasses that you guys have for it. I love the story, especially the final act. It was so good. I was so into it. For them to do that with me, somebody who doesn't have, that clings to the past series, like the furthest knowledge I've ever had was like the TV show from the 90s, barely. And, and the fact that like they made the story their own, they kind of like, they made like their own Spider-Man, universe. Like they were true to the characters and kind of the way the characters are supposed to go, but they always gave everything like a little twist, which was fantastic. It was really, really good. And, I even offered some negatives I had with the game during some of our podcast revisions that we had in the past. I just brought up a few just to be like, hey, here are some things that I didn't like about it. But as we've come to do this at PSVG quite a bit, like when I first started PSVG, I always kind of felt like I took everything as like a games journalist. I was always like trying to get like, all right, which game checks the most boxes, like quality wise, this does that, it does this, does less sound, all that, everything was kind of like a review for me. And over the years of just debating with Dev, like constantly, I've been worn down to where it's just like, what are my favorite game? What game did I like? Which one hits the fun meter? Which one did I enjoy the most? Which one had the most impact for me? And number one game of the year for me of all consoles was Spider-Man. And I loved it. It was great.
Yeah. And I'm along those lines too. My first Spider-Man was watching the Tobey Maguire movies, just like Justin. I've never really read the comics, and then now with the new movies. But it combined the drama or the good story of a Naughty Dog game with open world and traversal and everything. And it was a really good looking game, no matter how many puddles were in it. It was a great looking game, and is one of the, that's one of the reasons to own a PlayStation. It might be, what is Toby? What do you mean there? It might be, it might be the best game on play. I don't even know the best game, but it might be the favorite game on PS4, because it's a bright game. There's a lot of games anymore that are dark and that you don't want to go back to and spend a lot of time in that world. And Spider-Man is definitely not one of them. So, how about we move on to Dev?
I'll just keep it on the Spider-Man since we're here.
All right.
I probably have the most background with Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
From the comic books to the show in the 90s, which was excellent. So I'm glad you actually remember that, Donnie. The 3 Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire, which I think are trash for the most part. The 2 with Andrew Garfield, and then the last one that we got, Homecoming. And I have to go see Into the Spider-Verse because, God, that looks. But the game itself, it felt like Spider-Man. Like that's the biggest compliment that I can give that game, is that they nailed what it felt like, what it feels like to be Spider-Man. When you think of Spider-Man and his world and the way he moves and his quips and his relationship with all the different characters, whether it's Dr. Otto Octavius or it's Mary J or his mom, or not his mom, his aunt, everything just felt right. And while, it definitely is its own world, it's not necessarily holding on to all the ties of everything Spider-Man, it definitely hits all the right notes while managing to be its own thing. And they're actually going to make a comic book series based off of Insomniac Spider-Man. So with them being able to hit all the notes of what Spider-Man feels like and also make the game enjoyable, as well as telling a good Spider-Man story, it is absolutely, bar none for me, the best game on PlayStation to play. It is an amazing game. From just the combat wise, it's fun to play. It's got a great story and it hooks you in. And like Donnie, like he nailed it when he said it gives you that Infamous type feel. I love Infamous. That's another game that I wish that they would bring back. But the traversal, the collecting, just everything about that type of game, they absolutely just knocked it out of the park. So I'm just that is my favorite game on PlayStation.
Great. Cool. Well, I think before we go too much further, I think we can probably put a stamp on that as the PlayStation Game of the Year for 2018, at least according to the four of us. Moving on to I guess pick number 2, Donnie. We'll start with you.
Ooh.
This round.
So I flip-flop on this choice back and forth all year long. I even went back to it like a couple weeks ago just to like kind of confirm what I was thinking.
Yoku's Island Express?
Nope. My second favorite game of the year, and actually I would go ahead and say this. My top 3 games of the year, which we're going to discuss in the show, are actually my top 3 like games of the year.
Overall.
Far Cry 5.
Okay.
I went back and forth with this with God of War, and I think that's probably the next game we're talking about. If not, then the next one, the one after. But it really comes back to the same thing I said before. I've tried to let go of my whole analyzing better and worse by like all these different factors, and I've just talked about the games that I enjoyed, the games that I liked the most, and boy, did I not love Far Cry 5. I love that game so much. I played the game for almost 80 hours. I completed the story, and I don't know what it is about it. It's like it's my first Far Cry game. I played Far Cry 4 on PlayStation when it first launched for a little bit. It was one of those games where I played, first opening area, and I was like, I'm not liking this, and I just left it. And if it wasn't for Kevin, I would have never given Far Cry 5 a chance. And I got into Far Cry 5, and the world building that they set, not even just the characters are amazing, but even outside of the characters, the world that they set, this universe that they like create, it hit at a time that I was watching like all of this Ruby Ridge, like Waco, Netflix stuff, literally while I was playing Far Cry 5 when it came out. So I was bringing all of this external stuff to the party. It was another one, I can't remember the name of on Netflix. It was talking about like this town that was being taken over in like Oregon or something. There was all of these things that hit at the same time for me. So I was kind of already like in the mood, I guess. And all this world building that they were doing in terms of like this huge environment, they were all connected. It felt isolated on purpose, which made the world like make sense. Like everything connected. I was like really into like the narrative. Like you have all these people, they hate the government and they want to do their own thing. They're preparing for the end, and they're all just kind of like nuts. Like they're on the fringe, and all of the characters played into it, and all the missions played into it. Everything kind of built towards that final climax, and I very much enjoyed climbing the ladder and getting there. And boy, those villains, the Seed family, some of my favorite villains I've ever experienced in video games. Like the silver-tongued devil that is Joseph Seed was like so captivating, entertaining, and I was just like, man, this dude is like crazy. Like he is very believable. Like I personally just got hooked into it. You add in the fact that it was Far Cry, which apparently I'd never really understood. It's just like nuts and guns and explosions, and bombs, and planes and boats, and I had a dog, and it's like all of this stuff on top of what I was already enjoying just narratively, and the fact that it was also in this just beautiful open world, and I could do anything that I wanted to do. I could jump off of towers, I could unlock things, I could go find things, I could hunt mountain lions, I could sick my mountain lion on other people. I mean, dude, come on, that's awesome video game. Like that's what video games are all about. And for whatever reason, if it's not any of those, if it's something else, for whatever reason, I got really into Far Cry 5. I got hooked into it. It was another one of those that once I got it, I didn't stop playing it until I finished it, and it was great. It was great. So that's my second favorite game of the year.
Awesome. I've never played a Far Cry game other than Far Cry 4, but I know that you enjoyed it. I think Kevin really did. pretty much anyone aside from Kyle,
Yep.
Who played it, enjoyed it. Dev.
Yeah, what is the world coming to? I feel like this is the second time this week that me and Donnie have actually been on the same page. It's something's wrong because my top 3 are also it's Far Cry 5 and then God of War, which I also flip-flopped back and forth a lot as well. But Donnie hit it on the head. Like, that world just sucks you in. It's so good. Like, I love it when you have villains that are actually enjoyable. Like, they're so crazy and maniacal that it just makes sense. And they're a fun villain to actually go up against. And the Seed family, boy, they are nuts. But it's like, man, I can't wait to get you. Mm-hmm. So it's just, Donnie hit it on the head. Like, it has all of the open world stuff that you want. It's got all of the shenanigans. Like, you've got explosions, you've got, like you said, the boats, the planes, all the guns, all the little side stuff. And the side stuff all ties into the story, which is something that Ubisoft has nailed, starting with Watch Dogs 2, being able to make it to where all of these side missions aren't just like fetch quests or just something that doesn't have any meaning towards the game. When you can take all of your side missions and tie them into the overall narrative to where you don't feel like you're just doing side stuff to be doing side stuff, you got something good. And Far Cry is just it's amazing. I want to play the new one. I'm a little upset that the girls are the bad guys because I want to be on that side. But Far Cry 5
goes to your point. No, the bad guys are entertaining. They're always fun to watch. So
and you're right. All the missions tie into the main story, at least somewhat. They all have it's just like really good writing. They all have some little association. Every NPC that you encounter is a part of the world, and they give you something that makes the world building better. And that's just something I don't see that a lot in games, specifically not in a lot of open world games. It's one thing to do it in a linear game where every character plays a role. But in this game, I ran into hundreds of NPCs, and they all, even if it was minor, they all said a sentence that made sense. They all said something that made sense for the world that I was in. Whether I had to go rob a gas station to have gas because, they were under siege and they were cut off, it all made sense. So that really got me and tied me in.
So my question, because I played Far Cry 3, I played Far Cry 4. 3 is still my favorite. I really love 3. That was one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite games of all time. But it was set out in the middle of the ocean, on some islands. And I loved the environment and stuff. This is set in the middle of the U.S. Supposedly, and I guess. Does this game take itself too seriously in any way? It sounds like it's pretty fun, and that was what I was most worried about. Because the thing about Far Cry 3 is you're a dude bro who goes out to the ocean and is just fighting a bunch of random bad guys, and it's almost hysterical how stupid it is. So I was worried about the narrative of Far Cry 5, but sounds like that stuff's still there. It's maybe just kind of off the side a little bit, or I don't know.
I would say that it doesn't take itself too seriously, but then the thing is, all the stuff that's going on in the world, and like Donnie said, all the different documentaries you're watching, it's this could almost 100% take place.
Yeah,
but it's just so it's got the shenanigans, but it feels this if we got a story that this actually happened, it would not shock me in the least. And you're not just some random dude, bro. You're actually a deputy or something like that. Actually is there to apprehend Joseph Seed and bring him down, and then everything just goes to hell in a handbasket, and you got to pick up the pieces basically.
That other documentary I was watching is called Wild Wild Country, and
that's what I watched.
It's about a religious cult that comes in and tries to take over a town and do their own thing and live their own way, like Waco, but on a much bigger scale. So my wife and I got into this, and there I play this game that's feels like it's pulling straight from the source and setting up almost a parallel thing. So it's a serious thing that's happening. Everything that's going on is very serious, but it's so told in such a tongue-in-cheek, dumb way that it doesn't feel it. It's it doesn't dawn on you. You're playing and having a blast, and you realize you're wait a minute, this is some serious. They just gassed all these people. It hits you like that. It's really good.
Yeah, I truly would not be shocked if all of a sudden we heard about something like this happening in isolated Montana. It would not surprise me, or that we didn't hear about it until years later when they cleaned it all up.
All right. Moving on from that would be Justin again. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that you might have a certain Greek God of War in your. I know it's not Greek this time; it's Norse mythology, but he's still Greek. In your list, do you have? Is that one of your games?
No, I was actually gonna go with Laser League, top 3 game of 2018. So
Laser League is not bad.
No, it's not. That was actually just my shout out to Laser League. That was a fun PS Plus game. Yeah. No, it is God of War, and
so I figure I'm the only one. I haven't played God of War, but I will let the 3 of you discuss why that is one of the best games of the year. Maybe one of the best games on PS4.
Yeah, it was. That was for me. It was 1 and 2. It was Spider-Man, and I did think about maybe putting God of War as my first one, but ultimately I had more fun with Spider-Man. So, but God of War, the story and the acting is so incredible in that game that there's just nothing. There was nothing else like it. And The Last of Us had great story and acting and stuff, but it's very based in realism and realism to an extent, post-apocalyptic realism. But this was mythological creatures, and it's just fun. But to tell that touching story of a father and son in that world and to turn around the character of Kratos. I played God of War 1 and 2, was kind of into it. It's basically a beat 'em up in certain ways. And they completely turned it around and gave him a weirdly, touching story that you could play. And I absolutely loved it. I loved the action. I thought the combat was great. I'm not a Dark Souls kind of guy, or I'm not a I don't know how you describe that kind of gameplay, but it's very, it's not accurate, but it's precise. It's a very precise kind of gameplay and action, and I'm not used to that, and I still really enjoyed it. Where you have to actually time your button presses and think about your upgrades and stuff, and I enjoyed it a lot. So that's kind of why for me it's second on the list. I didn't have towards the end. I just wanted to see the story, so I was kind of pushing my way through it. I think I was just getting a little bit sick of the combat, and I just but the story was so good it pushed me through, and I finished it. So that I guess you guys chime in, let me know. It's for me, there wasn't a ton of negatives other than maybe it got repetitive towards the end. But what do you guys think?
Devin?
Yeah, God of War is great. I mean, I definitely walked around for like a good couple of weeks just yelling out "boy" to my son.
Yeah.
It really made my wife mad, but I still do it from time to time. Pushes my but yeah, God of War, like you talked about the combat, the preciseness. I love stuff like this. Game made me feel like Thor, which I absolutely love. The ability to chuck that axe wherever you want and have it come back, and just the call of a button just felt so good. The world is beautiful. Like, I know Donnie thinks that Far Cry 5 looks amazing and better, but I think just because of the fantasy of God of War, it takes the cake for me as far as visuals are concerned. And just being able to get lost and spend time in that world, fighting all kind of ridiculous monsters and things of that nature, it heightened it. And then when you throw that great of a story on the back of it, it just kind of comes all together. While I had more fun with Spider-Man because I definitely enjoy that comic book nature and that world a little bit better, it doesn't detract from the fact that God of War is just an excellent game, excellent story, and a really, really enjoyable gameplay. Even though it gets kind of repetitive, you're trying to, figure out how to maximize your ability to take down monsters. And that's something that I just thoroughly enjoy. Being able to do all the gear and just it's a great game. I really, really enjoyed it, just being in that world and that mythology. And I've played all of the previous God of War, so being able to see just a different side of Kratos, it isn't just all fire and brimstone, is a really, really nice tribute to that character and building him out. So I definitely hope that they continue and we get to see more of Kratos.
Yeah. Are we allowed to go into some light spoilers on this?
Sure.
Yeah.
So the moment I don't know, maybe it's a heavy spoiler, but when you get the Chains of Olympus in this game, I did not have that spoiled for me at all. Of course, I'm spoiling it for everyone else, but that was incredible to me because you get the Chains of Olympus, and it's like this, and you see them early in the game. It's just like an amazing story moment that ties into gameplay, because then you also get to just like kick everyone's butt with those chains. Like they put some underpowered enemies around you, so you can just like cut through them like they're nothing with those chains, and it's so great. Like as far as moments, like my favorite moments of 2018, that was probably one of my favorite by far. And that's something else I want to point out. Just like, and I had a few of those in this game is like favorite moments, and they were all in this game because and there was a few other surprises in there as well with the story, but yeah, just kind of want to shout that out.
The analytical side of my brain that would like to like evaluate a game on all of its offerings would like to make the argument that I'm pretty sure I think God of War is a better game than the other two games that I ranked ahead of it. It's better in the sense that I feel like a really good movie, God of War is really tight. I don't feel like there's like any wasted time. There's no like moments in the game where I'm like really, really upset. I think they could have like changed up some of the pacing in terms of the environments, but even then, like everything had meaning. All the characters had meaning. It's a really tight cast. It really gets going, and kind of the progression is good. You kind of feel like you're on this journey the entire time. As Devin said, it is absolutely gorgeous, and it's got a lot of post-game content that you can enjoy. Just literally rowing around the boat with Mimir is incredible stuff. Like listening to the story, the way that they've woven Nordic mythology into this game is incredible. And the set pieces, the cutscenes, the fights, the things that they set you up to do are on like the grandest of scale. Like they blow away all games in like the action genre. I mean, it really set like the standard. It is like the most fluid combat of a Devil May Cry mixed in with a story on par with The Last of Us, which is like something we've never had. Like even a huge Last of Us fan like me can tell you that the gameplay is not as good as it is in God of War. Throwing that axe and hearing it come back to you and hit your hand, and then switching to the chains, and like that's something that hadn't really been done in very many games. And it really kind of sets a really high bar like that. And I understand why the Game Awards gave it its Game of the Year. From like a creator level, it's to be praised and to be admired. It's really, really good. I mean, really, that's all I'd really like to say about it. I really, really loved. I mean, I can sit here and tell you a bunch of things, but
yeah, there's so many incredible things about this game.
Like I really, really enjoyed it. Just because it's third on my list doesn't mean it's bad. I think all of these games are masterful in their own way. With God of War, it's just a different type of game. It's a linear experience. You play it once. I don't necessarily know if I want to play it again. This is actually the one that I popped in like 2 weeks ago because I was thinking about making it 2. Like after the Game Awards and everything, I was like, oh, let me go back and take a look at it. And it's really, really good. But yeah, it's just with Far Cry, I just enjoyed so many of the other dumb things about it so much more than I felt like I had to give it the nod to be like just, personally truthful and honest to myself.
Right. Yeah, at some point, so what game is going to be the most fun to play?
I gotta let like the Donnie cynic go as much as possible. I gotta stop doing that so much.
Yes, you do. All right, so we have we've wrapped up Dev and Donnie's top 3 games of the year. Justin, what is you got Spider-Man, God of War. What is your third game sort of on your list?
So my third game is Call of Duty, actually.
Okay.
This year's Call of Duty. Call of Duty Black Ops 4. I've always played Call of Duty. I play it every year, and I really, there's been really off years for me, but last year with World War II was good, but this year, even though they lost single player, which was a huge bummer to me, I love playing through the set pieces of the single player, but that's missing this year. But the multiplayer is so good this year, and the battle royale in this game, I don't understand why more people aren't talking about it. Mm-hmm. It is so much. I understand why Fortnite's popular. It's got a different art style and everything, and it's a little more kid friendly. And like, I don't know why anyone would play PUBG at this moment. There's absolutely no reason to play PUBG. You should be playing Black Ops 4 Blackout mode. It is so good. It's maybe a little bit rough sometimes. Like, it's got the same issues a lot of these other battle royale games. Which is, you got 100 people on a server. sometimes there's a little bit of popping in the very beginning of the match, the first few 10 seconds, not a huge deal, but like the adrenaline rush you get from being in the top 3 players in a battle royale mode, in the blackout mode, is maybe it's just because I'm discovering this type of game this year or what, but like there's nothing else like it. Your adrenaline's pumping, you're looking around, you're trying to, and then you lose. And I've never been so mad at a game. I don't throw temper tantrums or anything. I don't throw controllers. I don't break controllers. But this game has probably put me the closest to breaking something in my house. And there's nothing else like it. And I think it should be shown a little more recognition for. They could have just it could have been a side project that didn't really go well, or they could have not put their full force behind it. I think they did really well. The quick equip options and everything are so smooth on console and everything. I have a ton of fun with it every day. It's my daily game, and that's why it has to be my top 3 game, even though there's one notable exception for my top 3 list, and it's just because I play this game every day and I have fun with it. And it's been out for a little over a month. I'm looking at the Battle Pass, or their version of the Battle Pass stuff, and I'm trying to reach these new goals of skins and stuff like that. And I've never really had that, even with Call of Duty before.
Cool. Have you touched Zombies mode yet?
No, I have not. I've actually been thinking about doing like a review for the site, but I kind of feel like I should touch Zombies for that. So then I just like, I don't want to do that. So, it's I have no interest in Zombie. It's there, and I know that there's actually some light story there, which I might enjoy. And my wife loves Titanic, loves the history of it, loves the movie, just everything about it, which is upsetting sometimes. But there's a Titanic level in the Zombies mode, and I kind of feel like I should just play it and show her what it's like on Titanic.
So just do what IGN did, just review all the modes independently.
Yeah, that's true. I have my problems with that too.
Yeah, that's a great. You have been talking about that for a while, and I think that, and I'm not a Call of Duty person because the couple times I've tried it, I've been terrible, and so I tap out on it. But the Zombies mode with the Titanic here, and with they have a new one with like Kiefer Sutherland, or something, which I don't know. It just looks like they have fun with it. So
Kevin Spacey, they did one with Kevin Spacey, which also had Conor McGregor, and they had one of those. That was a good. That was actually one of the best.
With the new game?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say. I think
in the space one had Conor McGregor. It also had Jon Snow, or the guy who plays Jon Snow. I don't know. Yeah. It notably missing from this year, but I'm still having fun.
All right, and I have one final game left, and I won't go too in depth about it because I'm sure that I'll be talking about it on future episodes of PSXP. And that is Red Dead Redemption 2. It's a game that I've been looking forward to since I finished the first game 8 years ago, not even knowing when they were going to do it or whatever. And at this point, as we are recording this, I have not even finished it yet. It's a long game, and it's a game that I just over these last couple months I haven't had intensive gaming time like I do some other times a year. It just is busy here. So it's currently in chapter 4. I'm still in Saint Denis, and but it's what you guys were talking about, Far Cry 5, the world building and with the NPCs and everything. I see a lot of that in this game, and just going around and talking to different people, and it seems like just about anyone I talk to, there's something to learn about the world from them. And I just like riding around on a horse in the open country, listening to the Western style music, and just kind of getting lost in the world a little bit. And I like Westerns, and really that's kind of where, as far as being one of my favorite games, kind of where it starts and stops. I like Westerns, and this is a really good representation of a Western, at least cinematically. And I mean, yeah, it has a lot of tropes, and it has the controls can be hard to get used to sometimes, and then there are other issues with it that I'll grant everyone, but the performances are great. I really like the character of Arthur Morgan, which I was concerned about coming into the game, I like all the characters I've met. Dutch Vanderland is great. My journey here with John Marston, I found really interesting. Where, I mean, John Marston is one of my favorite characters in video games, based on the first Red Dead Redemption. And the John Marston you meet at the beginning of this game is sort of a jerk and selfish, and obviously it's pre-redemption. And so this game, it's kind of neat. I've grown actually to like John in a different way, this game, and to like, again, like Arthur, and it's just a really good game and really impressive. All the systems that are in place, just throughout the game. So those are my, and I will stop short of calling Red Dead my number one top game of the year at this point. Just because I haven't finished yet. I want to see where the story goes, but
yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, Red Dead is certainly an amazing game. It's like a true accomplishment from a Rockstar. Like, I have a lot of issues with the game, mostly with the pacing, and some of the mechanics and time mechanics and stuff like that. But I haven't completely beaten the game, but I've gotten to like the epilogue chapter, and the story is it's amazing. I've been thinking about. I finished that last week. I've been thinking about the end of the main story, I guess, before you get to the epilogue. I've been thinking about that a lot the last couple days, because it really had an impact on me. And for anyone who has any issues with the controls or the pacing or whatever, if you can get through it, I mean, it's absolutely worth it. It is some of the best acting in video games by far. Arthur and Dutch's performance is absolutely incredible, and it's worth watching and seeing. It was a lot of times a lot of video game performances are really great, but I don't know if they would fit into a movie necessarily. There's still a video game, and they're still in a video game setting. This was the first time that I was watching a couple scenes towards the end, and it was like, this would absolutely fit in like a top tier movie, an Oscar worthy movie.
Yeah.
And because it's got the subtlety, it's got the drama, it's all there. And so I would definitely urge people to play through this. The story is worth it, no matter what you have. If you have some issues with that, push through.
One other thing about just the experience, the gameplay, with Arthur, when you meet him, he's been in Dutch's gang for I think maybe around 15 years. I don't know. He came there as a teen. He's been there for a while. He's an experienced gunslinger, and when you first, from the beginning of the game, you kind of feel like an experienced gunslinger. You build skills, you build your Deadeye and you build some other things, but it's not like the game doesn't take time to teach you like you're a beginning gunslinger, like it's your first time ever touching a gun, when obviously Arthur has been doing this for a long time. So I enjoy that. I enjoy when I'm aiming, it aims where it's supposed to go. If you were really that good of a gunslinger, it aims right at the person. Now maybe that's partly a control thing, because if you had to aim around like in a first person shooter, you'd be it's harder to aim, but I enjoyed that part of it. Okay, moving on from our games of the year and trying to kind of speed up here toward the end of the show. We did want to talk about, we've played a lot of games this year, but there are a handful of games that we haven't gotten to from 2018. So are there any games from 2018 that you really want to dive into, Dev?
Yeah, the one game that I did not get a chance to get into at all was Detroit.
Okay.
That was a game that I was really high on when I saw just what it was going to be when I played it at PSX last year. but I just never got around to picking that one up and playing it. So that is one game that I'm definitely looking forward to. One of the guys in my office who just recently got a PlayStation, this is his first PlayStation since I think PS2, he picked up Detroit as well as like God of War and Spider-Man. But Detroit has been the one that's kind of hooked him the most. And he's like, yeah, I got to go play through that again just so I can see the other sides of the story.
Yeah.
So just hearing that and then hearing the other just positive things that has been said about it, and the fact that I know I want to play it is just the one game. It's like I'm like, I kind of want to pick that up and play through that as soon as I can. So that's the one game from 2018 that I just didn't get a chance to play, but I'm really, really kind of itching to jump into.
But it is, I really liked Detroit, and definitely it's not a game for everyone. Like Life is Strange isn't a game for everyone, or Celeste isn't a game for everyone, or whatever. But if you're at all interested in it, it's a great game. So, Donnie, any games from this year that you haven't managed to make time for yet?
Mostly PSVR stuff, specifically because I just kind of got it. I got it over Black Friday, and I've been playing. I think all of the highlights. The killer apps for me were Tetris Effect and Beat Saber, both of which I've been playing a lot of. We just had our family came over this past weekend for early Christmas because they're going away for the holidays, and boy, we strapped that VR headset on everybody's head and made fun of them as they played Beat Saber and Tetris Effect. It's so much fun. Those games are great because they weren't in my Game of the Year. It doesn't mean they shouldn't be mentioned on a PlayStation podcast. They're really, really good. So Persistence and Moss are two really good games that I've been tracking. Just trying to find a sell on specifically Moss. I really want to play Moss. Both of those games are on my VR to-do list as I kind of make my way through them all. I'm still about halfway through with Astrobot. I like Astrobot, by the way. It's really good. I don't love Astrobot. I don't think it's like
it's not the Mario 64 of PSVR.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I really like Astrobot. It's really cool. It's a platformer. It's fun to play. It's easy. Astrobot should probably be the game that like comes with all VR units. You know, like it's something that everybody should have because it really sells VR well. But like comparing it to other platformers, I don't think it like holds that much. I think Beat Saber and Tetris Effect are better. Just put it that way. I just think if I was ranking my PSVR games that I've played so far. By the way, I got the Paranormal Activity game, which I was really excited about, made me sick. It's the only game to date that has made me sick. And let me tell you this, getting sick in VR isn't like kind of sick. Like I felt like I was on a cruise ship. Like I felt sick. That was not for me. I was like, that affected me for hours after I took the headset off. Like I was like,
was it smooth? Was it like the smooth motion or like walking?
I don't, that's the funny thing is I don't know. Definitely like walking around while you're staying still is weird. Yeah. It took a minute, but like, I do it in Astrobot and it doesn't bother me, but I think it's like maybe the third person perspective. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I just know that I played Paranormal Activity for all of 2 hours and it made me feel like I was going to throw up. And I was like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah. Are you planning on playing Resident Evil at all?
So I already played Resident Evil and I don't necessarily know if I want to
go back in for this for VR.
The other games though, I never did Shadow Colossus remake and I really wanted to. Yeah, just all of like the talk about like the controls and how they weren't like modernized and everything just kind of kept me away, and I've never really had the time to go back. And then the one that I've been keeping tabs on that I really want to get to that just hasn't got there for me yet is Yakuza 6. And that's the one with like the dad and all that, like, and the story's supposed to be really good. So I've kind of had that one on the wish list, and I'm just trying to make my way through it, keep chopping the block down until I eventually get there, but we'll see.
All right, Justin.
I got 2 games that I'm kind of watching for sale or something, and that's Hitman 2. I enjoyed Hitman quite a bit, or the new Hitman that came out a couple years ago, and I didn't dive into it too much because I got kind of late in the life cycle, so I kind of want to dive into, if you buy Hitman 2, you get all of the Hitman 1 or the original Hitman maps, and kind of redone in the new engine. So I really want to play that. I don't ever stream, but I kind of want to with that because I kind of want to see what kind of hijinks I get into. And then other than that, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I did not play that this year. I've liked the Assassin's Creed series in the past. I took a break from it for quite a while, and it seems like this. I played a little bit of Origins, but I rented it because I don't know, whenever you go to Redbox, they sometimes try to persuade you, like giving you a free game for a night. And I think I played it for like 2 hours. So I want to try Odyssey and actually get into it. And I love Greek mythology. So it seems like the right way. I don't know anything about, Odyssey was set back in like Egypt, and I don't know anything about that. So those are my 2 games that I'm kind of waiting to play.
All right. I joining you with Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I've played, my history with Assassin's Creed is number 3 because I like the Revolutionary War. I like that period of history. And then I played Black Flag and did not like the ship combat. And then, so I didn't do any more Assassin's Creed until I got Syndicate on sale for like $10. And I loved Syndicate. And then, so I'm really, and you talk about Greek, I like Greece. I'm interested in Greece. And so I'm really interested in that. So Donnie, you played and you enjoyed Odyssey, at least for a while. Is there a lot of ship combat?
Yeah.
In there? Okay.
It's not as bad as it used to be.
Okay.
It is streamlined. It's easy. Like, it's like driving a car. You drive a ship like you drive a car. You press go and it goes and you steer it. It's not like it used to be. But there's a lot of it, or at least a lot of it. I don't know. Hang on. Let me rephrase that, because I feel like I can feel Kyle squirming as I say that. So let me rephrase that. You're going to do it a lot because you do it basically in between environments.
Okay.
So it's not something you're not going to do, but comparatively speaking, no, because you're going to play
like
hours on land and then 15 minutes on sea.
Okay.
But you're going to do 15 minutes on sea every time you go from land to land to land to land. So it's there. It's not like a minimal thing of the game. It's
right. Well, because Greece is there's a bunch of islands.
Exactly. And you got to upgrade your ship, and you got to upgrade your ship arrows and your crew, and you got to do all that. And that was probably one of the things that took me out of it the most.
Mm-hmm.
I like Assassin's Creed. I don't want to be the hater. I don't want to hate on that game. To me, that game, unlike Far Cry 5, where everything felt like it was building to a crescendo, Assassin's Creed Odyssey just feels like this world that it's like Skyrim. You're just supposed to live in it. It's like you're not supposed to do anything else. You're just supposed to do this all the time. And there's all kinds of spiraling different paths that go in all different directions. That's the thing with me. I was like, man, I have played this game for 3 hours. I really don't know what's going on, and I don't feel like I've progressed at all, like the story forward. I've done a lot of things. I've improved, the amount of items I can carry, and I have a, bronze shield versus the aluminum shield I started with, but like I haven't actually done anything in the story yet. It's one of those type of games. And so I just kind of I just moved on. I wasn't enjoying I liked it. I just wasn't I wanted to play other things, and I just kind of laid it down.
All right. Fair. Cool. Well, so that's our rundowns. And then we are headed here into 2019. There are a lot of games on the horizon, although I don't know if there's going to be another Horizon. This might be a Horizonless year. No Forza Horizon, no Horizon Zero Dawn, unless we get a surprise here. So what is your most anticipated game of 2019? Start with Dev. I think I might know your answer.
It's a toss-up between Anthem and Days Gone.
Okay.
I really want to see what the payoff for Days Gone is. Like, it was a game that I definitely have been interested in since they've shown it. They've never had it playable in any capacity of anything I've ever gone to, but it's always been there. And it just seems like this game is taking so long to come out. And it had me hooked from just what I saw from the beginning. Like, it's not necessarily zombies. These are actually live people. So it's more like that one Will Smith movie where they can be cured maybe. So I'm just curious to see where the story goes. I love open world games like this. It'll get me a fix before we get Last of Us 2. But Anthem, ooh, buddy, that one right there. Like, after playing the demo, or whatever they call it, the alpha, which we're not supposed to talk about, I'll just say I had a lot of fun in it. All I'll say is the traversal is really, really nice. So I'm definitely looking forward to playing that. I'm not even going to play the demo. I've seen enough to know that this is definitely going to be a dev game. So that is probably the most anticipated game. And I'm glad that it comes out relatively soon, because I can't wait to jump in the mech and blow some things up.
Better watch out. EA might wipe off all of your purchases. by mentioning the alpha there.
If I had any, then I could do that, but I don't have anything to do.
All right, Donnie, what is your most anticipated game of 2019 presently?
So the question is Last of Us coming in 2019? That's my most anticipated game, period.
We can pretend The Last of Us is coming.
I think so.
My game is a potential non-2019 or all as well.
Okay.
But so it's your most.
Last of Us is my most anticipated, my most wanted. It's the game that I own a PlayStation for. That's it.
The sad part is, Donnie, you need a PS5 for that.
I'm so into all of that. That's I'm not even gonna go there. It's a nice PSXP show. We're not gonna do that. But if that's not there, the other games I'm really looking forward to, first and foremost, coming right out of the gate, Remake 2. I'm not sure if you guys are following this, if you have the history with the nostalgia with Resident Evil 2, but this remake that they're doing in January looks amazing. All of the preview coverage, everything that I've seen, all of the showings, their E3 showing, like it's all building and it looks like everything we could have ever wanted it to be. Coming off of RE7 and everything that they've done to kind of right the ship, I'm really like to say I'm excited for it's really an understatement. Like I'm so over the moon ready to relive that experience in all of its modern glory.
Is anyone else shocked that the Nintendo fan is excited for a remake?
Not at all. That's what I get.
So here's funny. I got a few more I'll read off. And here's the funny part is 2 of them are a remake and 1 of them is a side story. So the other ones I'm excited for are Crash Team Racing, Medieval, and then Everybody's Golf in VR.
Oh, I keep forgetting about Medieval. Yeah,
Medieval.
Yeah, those will be. It is fun. It's joking about that, and I haven't played the Crash or the Spyro reboots, but the games look great.
Spyro's great.
And Crash Team Racing looks good. Medieval looks really good. I'm sure in the stuff I've seen from Remake. It's a great way to preserve those games and modernize them and allow people to play them now.
Dude, I bought a PlayStation 3 so I can play Clock Tower. Like I have it. It's sitting right here on the floor. I've got all these old games. Like I like that stuff. I like preservation. I like remakes. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
I take no ill will of that comment. I'm all about it. Like take my old favorite games I love, and make them super pretty and let me play them again. I'm all about that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Justin, what's on top of your mind for this year?
Last of Us probably would be my number one, but I'll kind of skip past that because we don't know if it'll come out this year, but I kind of hope so. Dreams, yeah, I'm really excited for Dreams. People like to crap on it. People like Donnie specifically.
So why are you excited about this game?
Okay, so you're right.
What is it that you do?
You make.
He's got a good point.
You make things. You
Minecraft.
Play around.
Like, are you excited for Minecraft? I mean, like,
yeah,
it's not Minecraft.
Did you have fun playing Minecraft? Who didn't have fun playing Minecraft? I mean, honestly, who didn't have fun playing?
I don't know you as the
you
type
get sucked into it. It's fun.
Minecraft.
You're creating something. One of my goals for 2019 as a whole, outside of gaming in general, is to start using my brain a little more. That sounds dumb, but honestly, sometimes at work, I'm just in. You're doing the motions. That's all you're doing. So I want to read more. I want to use my brain more. I don't know how else to say it other than that.
So what game are you going to create for us?
Brain Age.
Probably something as simple as Brain Age. Honestly, a trivia game, something like that. I don't know. I want to see the tool set. I want to see what I can create. Probably first thing I'll try to create is a platformer, a simple platformer, because I grew up with Mario. That's what I want to start with. Whatever. And it seems like a simple enough idea. I've always been interested in creating games. Why not? This is the one chance I have of creating games into a game for myself. It's basically a big puzzle to me, and that's kind of what I'm excited for. I think about puzzles aren't fun; they're hard. When you think about a hard, handwritten puzzle, it's like you gotta really think about it. And I'm hoping that's what I get out of this game. I don't know if it will. I'm hoping it's deep enough that I can kind of create these situations where I need to really think about a problem to solve it with a tool set they gave me. I'm kind of curious to see what everyone else plays. So, or makes, because I've seen the stuff that the Dreams team, the developers making. Obviously they have a bit, they're way ahead of us. And They are developers, so of course they're gonna make cool stuff. But supposedly they made all these really great games with that tool set alone. Multiplayer, cool, couch co-op games and stuff like that, and online co-op games. So I am just beyond curious to see what this game is and complete. And I do want to create stuff. I want to play around. So
to provide you with some cover fire, I do think it's cool. I always enjoyed playing other people's Little Big Planet levels. Just like I enjoyed playing other people's Mario Maker levels. Just nothing. I've never wanted to do that. It's a lot of work. That's not why I play video games. I don't play video games to work. So I can appreciate your desire to want to share your creative mind with the world. I look forward to seeing all of those creations, and hopefully, like, there's so many of them in the first 6 months that I'm compelled to go and check them out. It's just, yeah, that's the idea of I'm going to sit here and make a game in my gaming time, like my free time. I'm going to pay to do that. It's just not for me. Like, it's a hard sell for me. And it always has been. It is. It's not the long road or anything. Like, I was that way with Dreams the first time we saw it. I was like, no.
It absolutely is. It's like when RPG Maker was the thing. It's like, and I remember looking at that when I was a kid. I was like, you got to pay $120 for a game that isn't actually a game. You have to create your own game. As a when I was younger, I was
like, then you couldn't share the game. It'd be like you'd save it on your thing and then
very true.
Invite your friends over to play this game.
Very true. Like what a weird concept.
By the time you're doing that, you no longer have any friends. So I
think this is the year I actually want to do that for some reason. Okay. It's probably gonna be horrible and that's gonna be a god awful mess. But you know what? I'll be glad to share all my experiences with you guys.
So I've been and this isn't going to be my official game for this section, but I've also been excited for Dreams, and we've been talking about it for a while in the Discord, and for me it's not even on the creator end very much, because I know I won't put the time into it. I'm not on one hand it looks like a simple system, and I'm sure much simpler than some other game creation systems, but on the other hand it looks pretty complicated. It's very deep, and to actually create something worthwhile is going to take a while. But I'm really excited to see what other people create, and even getting in and fooling around. I mean, there's so many different parts. There's a music creator, so you can create your own music tracks, and then other people could use those music tracks in their games, or you could create a character that other people might pick up and use in their games. So I think there's a lot of, you don't necessarily have to be creative on a broad scale. You can get good at one thing and still be a part of a larger thing. So I think it's really interesting, and the public beta signups start here on January 4th, with the public beta kicking off January 8th. So I'm hoping that I can get into it. Hopefully for Justin, he can get into it, and we can report back on that. My kind of number one anticipated game right now is The Outer Worlds, which was revealed during the Game Awards, and Justin and I talked in December about. And just from I like sci-fi. It has a little bit of that frontier Western vibe. Reminds me a little bit of Firefly, the TV show that I really like. You have this kind of decrepit ship, and you have a crew, and you're going around to these different worlds and doing something. I don't know. It's from Obsidian, which has a great, obviously great track record with RPGs, and I'm hoping it comes out this year, and just am really, really excited about that one. I'm hoping that Anthem is great, and I hope obviously I hope all the games are great, whether I play them or not, and whatever. So with that, I think we are gonna end the show. We do want to thank our Patreon producers. You can find out more about our Patreon. Please visit patreon.com/PSVG to learn more. And thank you to all of our producers: Coach Hulk, Edwin Callow, Dev Tyus, Kevin Austin, Chris M., Kyle Hyman, Joel Voss, and Bonesaw. I don't know who Bonesaw is, but I like that that's at the end of the...
That's Josh. That's Josh. I got this whole story. They call him Bonesaw because his last name is Borboni, and like they used to call him that at Best. I don't know how you go from your last name being Borboni to Bonesaw. Like, what did Josh do at Best Buy? And somebody was like, Bonesaw. Did he take out some upset customer and he's like, listen here, you take this, you take it back home. Like, did he go off one day? Did he snap?
My first thought was Randy Savage as
Bonesaw. That's what I thought. But how do you relate that to Josh?
I can't.
You have to ask. I'll get him on the OT and have him talk about it.
There we go.
The story of Bonesaw.
Anyway, as long as he is a producer, I want him to be at the bottom, and I want to end with saying Bonesaw, or saying it cooler than I just said it. And with that, thank you, Dev and Donnie, for joining us and for talking about PlayStation for 2018. As you said, it was a good year for me. It was the year started off slow because I wasn't into God of War. But then really, I mean, the last 3 months or ever since I think August F1 2018 came out, ever since then, it's just been an onslaught of games, both on PlayStation and on Nintendo. It was a good year. So anyway, that wraps up 2018, and Happy New Year to all our listeners. I guess this is where we would say never stop gaming.
Good night, Koopalings.
Oh,
terrible.
We can fix that in post. No worry.
Okay, good.
And though we may pledge fanboy allegiances to different flags, deep down inside we all serve one master, one king, and his name is gaming. Forever may he reign!
This has been a production of the Play Some Video Games Podcast Network.
Camera out, or it's just
I don't have fancy camera stuff like you do, Donnie.
Hey guys, it's just podcast.
I think you must have zoomed me in or something because I see my whole face. So
yeah, you are like right in the camera.
Okay, well, I could be a lot closer.
He's a beautiful man. You know, let him own it. All right.
So
off to a good start.
So luckily, this is not a video podcast. We just see each other's faces as we're recording it.